So we are continuing in 1.4. This is video number 3. And it says here to find the slope and the y-intercept of a line whose equation is 3x plus 6y minus 12 equals 0. And this equation is not in our point slope form. It is not in slope intercept form, but this is in general form. And so general form looked like this, where a, b, and c were real numbers. And we can see our a is 3, our b is 6, and our c is negative 12. So what I need to do here, if I want to find the slope and the y-intercept, the easiest way to do it is to put this in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form looks like this. If I was able to put in slope-intercept form, then I can pick out the coefficient on the x to be the slope and the number that's by itself to be the b. Here is my slope. And here is my y-intercept. Now I can't just take the coefficient on x if it's in this general form and say that's the slope. It's not. So what I have to do is solve this equation for y. Get y. Solving an equation for y means that you are going to get y by itself. So I see other things here other than y on this left side of the equal sign. So I need to get rid of those. And so the first thing I'm going to do is add 12 to both sides. When I add 12 to both sides, I'm going to be left with 3x plus 6y is equal to 12. This is still not solved for y. Y is here, and we have all this other stuff here. So get rid of whatever else is on this left side. So I will move over the 3x. And because it is a positive 3x, I move it over by subtracting. If I'm going to get rid of it on this side, I need to do the opposite of what's here. And I do the same thing to the right side to keep the equation balanced. Now you'll notice that I put the negative 3x in the front of the 12. You could also say 12 minus 3x. The reason why I am putting it in the front of the 12 is because I want this term with the x to be first. That's the slope. Does it matter? No, you can do it either way. Now, this is still, I'm almost to be solved for y, but there is a 6. This is 6 times y, and in order to get rid of the 6, because it's multiplication, I will divide by 6. And that means I divide everything on the left and right side by 6, and I end up with y is equal to, this would be negative 1/2 x, simplifying the 3 over 6, and 12 divided by 6 is 2. So now that I have done that and I've solved for y, now I can take the coefficient on the x is going to be the slope, and the number that's by itself, 2, that's the b, which is the y-intercept. So if I was asked to graph this equation that was given to me, then I can do that by using the techniques I learned in video 2, which said to first plot the y-intercept. And so the y-intercept is 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I will plot that first. And then from that, and now I'm going to use the slope to find the next point. And you're going to say, I'm going to do the rise over the run. So in this case, our slope is negative 1 over 2. So I will fall 1, and then I will run 2. So from that green dot I have here, fall 1, run 2. All I need is these 2 points, and then I use a straight edge. I can keep going on though. I could keep going from this point. I fall 1, run 2. Fall 1, run 2. And then I take that straight edge and I draw a straight line through those points. This is the graph of this equation that we were given. This is what I circled in green is the equation in general form. And this right here, y equals -1/2 x plus 2. This is the equation in slope-intercept form. You can also use the intercepts to graph. So what are the intercepts? Well, the intercepts are where they cross the y and the x-axis. This is the y-intercept, which crosses at 2. And this is the x-intercept, which crosses, the line here crosses at 4. So, but because you only need 2 points to graph a line, you could just graph the x and y intercepts and then connect it with a straight edge. So it says, using the intercepts to graph. If you have an equation, if it's given to you like this, to find the x-intercept, what you should do is you're going to let y equal 0 and then solve the equation for x. Plot that point that is the x-intercept on the x-axis. Then you're going to find the y-intercept. And in order to do that, the y-intercept, let x equal 0 and solve for y. And then plot that point. Now, why can I do this? Finding the x-intercept. The x-intercept, let's take a look. Let's go back to this graph. If I was to write this ordered pair here, this is the x-intercept, it would be 4, 0. The y value on the x-intercept is always 0. If I was to write this as an ordered pair, this would be 0, 2. The x value on the y-intercept is always 0. And so that's why they're telling you let y equal 0, because that will give you the x-intercept. So it's going to be some number, comma, 0 for this one, the ordered pair. And this will be some number, or I'm sorry, 0, comma, some number as the ordered pair. After you get the 2 ordered pairs, you plot them, and then you draw a line using a straight edge, draw arrows at the end to show that the line continues on indefinitely in both directions. So here we have a problem where it says, here is our line, and we want to graph it. So let's draw our XY plane. Let's label it. Here's my y-axis here, my x-axis here. I'm going to label these points. And if I had graph paper, that's ideal, right? Because then it's nicely measured out perfectly, not just hand drawn here. But I'm going to draw this the best I can on the screen. And so the first thing I want to do is find I can do either one. I'll start with finding the x-intercept. So to find the x-intercept, I'm going to say, let's let y equal 0 and solve for x. So I take my equation, which in this case is 3x minus 2y minus 6 equals 0. And in place of y, I'm going to plug in 0. And so now I'm going to end up, well, 3x, and then negative 2 times 0 is 0. 3x minus 6 is equal to 0. To solve for x, what I have to do is add 6 to both sides. I end up with 3x is equal to 6. And then divide both sides by 3. And I end up with x is equal to 2. So to write this ordered pair, it would be x comma y. The x here is 2, the y is 0. And then I would take and I would plot that line, or that, I'm sorry, that point. 2, 0 is here. Now I'm going to find the y-intercept. And to find the y-intercept, you're going to let x equal 0 and solve for y. So I will take my equation again. And in place of x, I'm going to plug in 0. And I'm going to end up with, well, 3 times 0 is 0. So I'm left with this. And then I need to solve for y. So let's add 6 to both sides, because the goal is to get y by itself. I get negative 2y is equal to 6. And then I will divide both sides by negative 2. And what do I end up with? Y is equal to negative 3. So my ordered pair here, the x value is 0. The y value is negative 3. Let's plot that point on my graph. 0, negative 3 is down here. So 0 on the x, negative 3 on the y. And then all I have to do to graph this line is to draw a line connecting the two dots with a straight edge. This is the equation that you see here graphed using the x and y intercept. The last thing that we're going to look at in this section is an application of slope, because we try to apply the different topics and objectives to a real life situation. Here we have some data points. The data points are given as x, y ordered pairs. And it says, use the data points to obtain a linear function that models average global temperature, f of x. So we're told it's a linear function. That means it is a straight line that models the average global temperature. So f of x, or my output, is the average global temperature. For a atmospheric carbon dioxide concentration of x parts per million. So this right here, this is my x value. So atmospheric carbon dioxide concentration. That's the input. Then it says to round the slope to 3 decimal places and b to 1 decimal place. So we have a linear function. So I'm going to start with that. Linear function takes this. Now, could you write y equals b? Y equals mx plus b? Yes. Could you write it with the f of x? Yes. Pay attention though, in my math lab, if they use f of x, then they want your answer written with f of x. So what are these two things? This right here, this f of x, the output, is the average global temp. And the input, x, is the carbon dioxide concentration. CO2 stands for carbon dioxide. So if I want to write a linear function or a linear equation, then I have to fill in two things. I have to fill in the m, or the slope, just like we did up above in the earlier section. And I have to fill in the y-intercept. So we will start by finding the slope. So I use my slope formula and I plug in the values for x1, y1, x2, y2. Make sure you label your points and then plug them in. We're going to take this and use the calculator. And so that's where we'll pick up the last video, which will be very short because we'll just finish this problem. So let's pick up there.